to a good start already because you guys are together. So
right.
You guys are together, but we'll get into the where are you now in just a minute. But first things first, I mean, what an experience the two of you had. Can you tell me this? Is love truly blind?
Absolutely not.
I know. He like loves to answer that every time. I'm like, I swear to God, you say that one more time. I'm kidding. It is.
And I think, one of the things that was going through my head was, I do think love is blind. Like, I think you can connect with someone on a totally different basis. But I wasn't sure if it was going to be for me in this experiment specifically, and seeing how it all turned out. There's times I look back and I'm like, I didn't see that coming.
A lot of things went down. A lot of things went down, but obviously the connection that you guys had from the start was like just instant. And I mean, I was not surprised when you guys tied the knot. Were you was there a moment of like, oh my gosh, I don't know if Nick's gonna say yes, if Danielle's gonna say yes, when you guys were at the altar?
We flip-flopped on this. There was times where I was 100% yes and he was 100% no. And for me, it was because all of these emotions that came through during this experience made me realize, like, do I wait? Are there things that I have to work on myself before jumping into a marriage? And that's why, like, I started second guessing my answer, because I was like, okay, like, I know that he's the person I want to be with for the rest of my life, but is choosing to be married right now going to be the wrong decision? But also, is it going to like be the right decision to say yes, because I fully trust him to be there to support me all the time?
And I went through the same things. I'm like, is this the right decision? Is it too fast? My friends were very skeptical of the entire thing, which you see play out at the bachelor party. They hit me hard, and that wasn't it. Like, they were hitting me hard the entire time. And same with my family, who are very supportive, and now we're all very close. But just wondering, like, how is this the right thing to do? Are you sure you're in the right space to do this, and all that stuff? So there was doubt up and down. But the moment that she said yes, and the beautiful things that she said to me, that whole weekend before, as we were trying to navigate this, it was comforting, and it felt like a giant, exhale. As I said to her that day, it felt like a giant exhale to say I do, and just, I don't want to say ride the wave, but like, let's do this. Like, we know we have love, we know we have this foundation. Let's make that commitment and that leap of faith.
Well, you guys did definitely make that leap of faith. And now you need to tell us, was it worth it? Is it working out between you two?
It's the best decision that I've ever made in my entire life. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I can't picture like going through life without him, going through what's happened since, saying I do without him. And it just like continuously like overly makes me think like, yes, this was the right decision. And I can't even imagine what it would be like if we said no.
Yeah. And same for me. We have so much fun. We have so much of a connection. And the crazy thing is, like, that connection that we built in the pods, which, what is it? 60 people in the whole world understand what it's like to be in a pod talking across to someone that you've never seen. And for its benefits of, like, maybe you don't have to look someone in the eye when you say something that's hard to say, and maybe you don't have to feel judged, and all of that's wonderful. But that foundation has given us such a strong foundation that we can just build on it, and we can get closer, and we can duplicate all of the things that work for us, and we can, let go of the things that don't, and just continue to build that love, and, living together, and, integrating our friends and family, which is just something we spent so much time talking about, but is actually like happened in real time.
So much easier than we ever
would have thought. Yeah.
Because I was gonna ask, like, how has it been like life after filming the show? Because you guys were like fast paced. It was all quick. And then you get to the wedding, and then it's like, oh wait, now we can slow down a bit. So how was that kind of acclimating to that new speed?
Well, it just like, it's crazy because we fell in love so fast, we really truly wanted to not only make it work, but make sure that it would work for the rest of our lives. And so we did communicate about all of the benefits of saying yes and all of the potential downfalls of saying no. And it wasn't because we wanted to fight with one another. It was because we genuinely wanted to make sure that this was something that would work for the rest of our lives. And so talking about those things were difficult because we are different people, but living through them, it's like, it's not even the thing. Like, it's like all of the things that we like talked about and thought about. It's just like, oh my God.
And for example, you see there's a little bit of contrast in the way that we grew up and our families and stuff, but we had Thanksgiving together this year. Her mom hosted and my family came over, and I was nervous just because, we gave her mom a handful of things that she wasn't allowed to say or talk about. And she said and talked about all of them.
Of course.
She can help herself. As mom does,
Yeah. But it went great. It was such a good time. Like my nephew was there. He had a great time. My dad, my uncle, my sisters, like everyone had a wonderful time, and it wasn't awkward, and there wasn't, anything to be concerned about. And the same things happened with our friends. Like we take trips together with friends and everyone gets together and it's nothing.
It's like,
just like we've been this way for years.
All the phobias we've had were based on things that like
don't exist.
Yeah. So it's like rewatching it, it's like, oh man, I wish we didn't have to fight about those things, but it really was because we wanted to make sure that this would be long lasting.
Honestly, it's always better to like question things that might not be an issue, just so you at least like kind of prepare yourself. You just brought up rewatching. How was rewatching it all back? Because you guys did have some tough moments between the two of you.
It was amazing in so many ways. It was tough in others. Like watching our pod experience, like it seems like a lifetime ago, like to be completely honest. And watching that back and thinking about it, they're almost like two different things. And then like watching it and realizing that like, hey, we got so close in those pods. And it, like I said earlier, really did give us a foundation. And there were some really tough times to watch back on and say like, man, I wish I would have reacted differently. I wish I would have listened instead of trying to fix. And, that's me. Like I'm a fixer, I'm a problem solver. And, I've learned that there's a lot of men that act in that way. And there's times where she just wants me to listen. And then there's times where she wants me to advise and just like learn to pay attention to those. Yeah. But like watching it back, it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, like what was I thinking in that scenario or in other scenarios with other people too.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, like one, rewatching the reasons that we fell in love with one each other. Like I cried for an hour and a half after watching the pods. I'm not even kidding. So we cried watching it together, and I went home and I was still crying because it does remind you about all of the reasons that you fell in love with each other. And then rewatching some of our arguments, it's like, it's hard to rewatch, but it's also beneficial to see like how far we've come, how silly those arguments were. And like, I wish that we didn't have to like overthink all of the potential downfalls. Cause I think like, that's how I am. I'm like, okay, I want to like under promise and over deliver. And so I was over communicating the things that might go wrong and they didn't. And so it's like, the fights were based on things that didn't actually happen in reality. And so seeing them was hard, but it also was like, oh my God, we came so far. So. Yeah.
Right. Which, I mean, look at you guys are like looking at each other. Your aunt, I mean, hello, that's the look of love. So my last question to the two of you, what's next? I mean, you're married, you guys live together. Are you thinking about starting a family? What's next for the two of you?
We don't have a timeline on a family other than that we know we're going to have one. Right now we're house hunting together because we want to find a place that we can sort of own, because I've owned my condo. So when she moved in here, it was it's my place. It's been my place for years. So
you need a room for your rock band. Come on.
Oh, we have room for rock band. Don't worry.
It's right on the other side. Yeah.
If you could see it in the background, I wish you could, but it's out in the open, and his friends are the first ones to play it.